Thank you for being so prompt and on time. You guys and gals are terrific. You are the best audience I've ever had in my life, by far. No doubt about it. Shh. Except for those Italians, because they're so boisterous and excited and full of energy and pumped up. Okay. Shh. So about 4 years ago, doing a program in Rome for Tiziano and all these great people, 6 young men in their 30s asked to have lunch with Sabrina and I. And we said, of course. We didn't recognize when we sat down at lunch that none of them spoke a word of English. And of course, I don't speak a word of Italian. So all of a sudden, we had that little moment of tension, and all 6 of them, and I'm not exaggerating, all 6 of them at the same time started talking in Italian. For like 5 minutes, and I had no idea what they were saying. But they were so excited and jumping up and down. So I said, shh, stand up, and they all stood up. I said, put your hands on your legs and sit down. Now try to talk. They couldn't. If they can't use their hands, they can't talk, okay? It was fun. I just met a young guy that probably came the farthest to be at this retreat this year, okay? And I apologize, I hadn't met him before. I'm not sure where he's sitting. In fact, I'm having a very hard time pronouncing his name, okay? So, Mangazi, is that, no, am I close? Where is that young man? Mangezi. I can't say, let's put the camera on that young guy right there, okay? That young guy, let's get the camera on the screen, came all the way from Cape Town, South Africa to be here. Wow. What a treat. You know, you guys and gals from Italy thought you came a long ways. That is a long ways away. I told this young man that I've been invited now 5 or 6 times to go down to Cape Town to do seminars, and I haven't been able to coordinate it and do it yet. But I told him I'm looking forward to it, and when I do it, he better be there in attendance, and he will be. So thank you for coming such a long ways. Yes, I can't hear a word you're saying. Okay. Mangazi, stand up. Are you staying here at the Bellagio? I can't hear you. Where are you staying? Staying at the Rio. Good. John Ames, please stand up. Because you came a long ways, John Ames is going to pay for your room at the Rio while you're here. He's going to take care of it for you. Good job. Thank you, John. Okay. Good. See, he thought he was going to Rio de Janeiro, and he ended up in Las Vegas, right? Oh, that's fun. Who's not back yet? Raise your hand. Okay, just a handful of you. All right, point number 22. So, do you guys want to have fun tomorrow? So tomorrow, we're going to spend almost the entire day on how to become a dynamic, strong presenter. It's just a personal opinion only. I think it is the best material that I've ever shared with real estate people on how to become a dynamic, strong, very creative, productive presenter. So when you're sitting in front of a seller, not only is your closing ratio going to improve, the quality of the referrals you get from that point on improve because they're so impressed with your ability to present. So tomorrow is a fun day. It's a hard day because we're going to ask a lot of things about who you are that you're going to have to adjust to be a great presenter. I'll give you an example. Who in this room sat in on any of those little tour stops I did in May and June? Who sat in on those? Okay, so probably about 300 of you. I gave an example during my tour stops, and I'm going to ask you to think about this. I said, the quality of a listing presentation has to be at the same quality of a professional entertainer. Or in essence, you have to present yourself in 5 to 7 to 12 minutes in a fashion that actually creates in the seller's mind that you made a great performance to win them to your side. And as I made this, Jeff, every day this presentation, 90% of the audience would just kind of shuffle back in their chair and look at me. I said, because a great presentation is a performance. And a great listing presentation, you're performing a script that is designed to help a seller make a decision to sign a contract with you. And the higher you can make that level of performance, the better off you are. So then I gave them a couple of examples. The 1st of March, Tony Bennett, who is old compared to me, okay, was in town. He was at the Wynn. So we decided to go see Tony Bennett for the second time. Now, we saw him 10 years ago at the Wynn Hotel. He was 82 when we saw him perform. And I am not exaggerating. And now, tonight, presenting to all of you, Tony Bennett, and the guy, 82, virtually kind of runs out on the stage, grabs the microphone, and sings for 1 hour and 35 minutes straight. It never takes a break. And it was, I'm sitting in the front, and I'm like, oh my God, I am such an amateur compared to this guy. He's 82, and he's performing at a level of 12 on a scale from 1 to 10. And, well, okay, so I have to ask, how many know the name Tony Bennett? All right, so most of you, because the average age in this room is not as old as me, but it's old, okay? And if you're older, you recognize, well, so 1st of March, we see a sign, Tracy, coming to the Wynn Hotel tonight, Tony Bennett. I go buy 2 tickets. Joe, you and I would run to that in a minute. So we're sitting in the front row. Now, he's 92. He didn't run out on the stage. Grabs the microphone and sings better than at 82. Oh my gosh, I was shocked. Well, we gave him a standing ovation. The next morning we fly to New York City because I'm doing a seminar for C21 for Tom Hogan, who's sitting here someplace. Where is Tom? Okay. That's Tom's sister and wife over here. I'm doing a program for Tom's company, and we're staying at the Ritz-Carlton at the park, and in the morning I walk outside to go to Starbucks, and in front of Starbucks is Tony Bennett, because he lives there in one of the high-rises, and he's in a jogging suit. I walk up, Mr. Bennett, we saw you 2 nights ago in Vegas. It was astounding. He said, thank you. I said, we saw you at 82. We saw you at 92. He says, stop. Come back and see me at 102. Isn't that great? He's a performer, yes or no? Yes. So a couple nights later, we get invited by the Bellagio to go to a performance next door at the Park, which is their fancy, fancy theater. And the guy from the Bellagio says, I want you to come and see this guy. He's really a great performer. I said, fine, who is it? He said his name is Bruno Mars. I said, okay, what is that? I had no idea what Bruno Mars was. And we're sitting right where you guys are in the front row. And he goes, oh, you're going to love this guy. I said to Sabrina, do you know what Bruno Mars is? She goes, oh, yeah, his music is great. Well, Sabrina's 20 years younger, so some of our thoughts about great are different when it comes to music. You know, I'm thinking Tony Bennett's great. She's thinking about Bruno Mars, and I don't know what a Bruno Mars is, so that makes it interesting. This guy comes out on the stage. Oh, my God. First of all, he's that big. No, really, okay, I lied. He's that big, okay? He comes out, Michael, and for 1 hour, he is unbelievable. I actually was thinking, if this guy gets his real estate license, he's going to put most of you out of business because of his ability to perform. Now, here's the interesting part. I did not know one word he said. I couldn't understand one word he sang. I had never heard one song before. And after 10 minutes, I am standing up in the front row. Ah! No, whack, whack, sit down. Okay? So then we went to Europe to be with Tiziano. We came back, and we're walking through the Wynn Hotel. We go there a couple times a week for dinner. And there is an entertainer that's going to be entertaining that night. And don't ask me why his name just went right out of my head. Old what's-his-name was entertaining that night. Sabrina, are you behind the stage? Good. What was his name? Paul Anka. Oh my God, you talk about a name from the past. How many of you remember the name Paul Anka? You guys are old. This guy was a heartthrob for teenage girls in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So we see the sign, Paul Anka tonight. I said, we got to go see that. I mean, he's going to be singing songs from the 50s and 60s. That's my time. So we get 6 in the front row. This guy comes out on the stage, and I am not kidding. I have never seen a performance like this in my life. He's 76. He runs out on the stage. He goes 2 hours and about 10 minutes, no break, Michael, and he is operating at a level 13 on a scale from 1 to 10. It was such an incredible performance. Now, here's what's interesting. He really never made a lot of money singing. He was a songwriter. He wrote songs for Barbra Streisand, for the Beatles, for Elvis Presley. You know, that great song, okay, My Way by Frank Sinatra, he wrote that. The jingle that's been played on TV a million times for the Johnny Carson show, da 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 da, he wrote that. He makes $300,000 a month in royalties for the rest of his life if he never does anything, okay? But he sings like it's his last song of his life. And at one point he actually says, you got to understand something. This is not a job. This is my passion. And I'm thinking, God, I can't wait to get to the retreat and try to help you understand that if you are like Lucy, who displayed that yesterday, that if you're passionate about what you do, people are going to be attracted to you, yes or no? Yes. Versus, hi, how are you? I'm so excited about listing your home tonight. It's so pretty. So Paul Anka, towards the end of his presentation, his show, he said, you know, people say to me every day, Paul, how do you do it? And he said, quite honestly, I want to share with you what I do. I am a fanatic on my exercise. And he's tall and thin. I exercise a couple hours a day. I am fanatical. And number 2, I am fanatical on what I eat. He said, I have been on Jenny Craig more than Mr. Craig. Whoa. Well, did I? Okay, anybody Catholic in the room? Catholics? He's a Catholic. He told a Catholic joke, which probably I shouldn't repeat, but it's too late. He said, I finally decided to go to confession after 30 years. He said, you know, at some point I'm going to die. I thought I better go to confession. He said, I walk into the church, I walk down the aisle, I open up the door, I kneel down in the booth, and the priest opens the little door, and I look at the priest and say, why don't you go first? So just thought I'd reverse the roles, okay? So let's write down point number 22, okay? High level listing productivity. Let's use those words to start. High level listing productivity demands, and I'll use the word demands. And so many of you that are longtime clients understand this so well. A strong belief in yourself. High level productivity for listing demands a high, strong belief in yourself and your abilities. Or in essence, you have told yourself the story that you are a winner and that you're going to win a lot. and that you can do this job at a high level. Now, people ask me all the time, how do you develop a strong belief in yourself? Tell yourself the right story. Now, folks, almost everybody in this room, starting with myself and most of you, did not come from the golden spoon, meaning you didn't have everything at your fingertips. You worked to get to where you are. Your mom and dad worked to get to where they were. Okay? You have to go through that process. Well, that process is what develops the belief in yourself. Now, I've had people actually say to me in seminars, I'm fascinated when they say this, Mike, tell me, who do you think is the best real estate speaker there is? I go, me? Well, you're such an egomaniac. Well, I said, if I'd have said somebody else, would you believe in me? Because if I don't believe in me, the vote's unanimous, yes or no? If you don't believe in yourself, you have taken the most important vote of your life. And that vote is what's killing you, because you don't believe in yourself. High productivity in listing property takes the belief. How do you get the belief? The repetitious involvement in learning how to list property, point number 23. To list property in high volume, you have to control your ego, which controls your profit. To list property in high volume, you have to control your ego, which controls your profit. I used to do a profitability 3-day seminar for years. I don't know why I stopped, but I did. And I used to say, let's list all the expenses that a real estate agent experiences. Number one expense of a real estate agent is ego. Everybody say why? Because you're willing to pay anything and everything you have to be recognized instead of being recognized for your productivity. Anybody in this room can buy the number one spot on anything. You can be the number one Zillow agent, number one on Google. You can be number one in your neighborhood if you're willing to spend enough money, yes or no? Watch, ego is expensive. Or as one of you have said to me time and time, ego is never your amigo, okay? It works against you all the time. All right, so let's write down next to this point, start every day at 0 to reduce the ego. Start every day at 0 to reduce the ego. And that's hard, okay? And it's hard because we naturally, because you are so good at what you do, and you get a lot of recognition, which you deserve, and in many cases you are number one in your office, in your company, in your market, in your community, in your town, in your city, which you've earned, you start to believe it a lot. So what do I mean by starting at 0? When you wake up in the morning, every day when you get to the office, you have to say to yourself, I have 0 prospects, 0 leads, 0 listings, 0 pendings, and I have no money in the bank. I better get to work. That's starting at 0 every day. Now, for some of you, this is easy. Because you have no listings, no leads, no money in the bank. But see, when you buy into your own success, listing property in high volume is tremendously difficult. Number 24, write one word, versatility. Versatility. Do you realize how hard it is for Hal Swayze as a high analytical, or Josh and Bernie as high drivers, to exercise versatility every day? It's hard, okay? Because he's going to figure out every aspect of why they should do it. They're going to just say, screw it, do it. And we expect certain results. But if they don't have the versatility of working with a wide variety of people in a wide variety of ways, in a wide variety of situations, they're going to lose half their business. Okay, I'm going to say something which some of you will never agree with, but if you allow it to sink in, you're losing 25 to 50 listings a year, every person in this room, from a lack of versatility. Losing. Elena, your average commission check now is 300,000 average commission check. 300,000. You know, she does 5 or 6 deals. That's a lot of money. Well, if she makes $3 million, she's losing $3 million, and I'm sure she's not. Lack of versatility. The ability to adapt quickly to the people you're dealing with, okay? And until you understand that the only way to develop high versatility is to learn to ask a lot of questions, spend a lot of time listening, put yourself in their position, what they're thinking about, what they're trying to accomplish, quit having to be right, reduce your ego. Until you do all that, you can't have versatility. Point number 25. Write down the word standards. Standards. Because if you want to add 25, 50, 75 listings, you have to have standards. The biggest challenge all my broker friends have on both sides of the room, it's hard to implement standards when you have independent contractors. So my friend Richard sitting over here on my left, okay, we've known each other how long, Richard, now? 20 years, and you and Joe have made a phenomenal team building Century 21 All-Stars to be one of the top, thank you, they're one of the top companies in the nation, okay? So Richard, you guys have about 180 agents full-time? So back 1st of May, we talked about a standard we thought you should have. And we said, Richard, in your company you have 180 agents, so your minimum standard for listings taken per month has to be 180. You have to figure out how to get at least a minimum average of 1 listing per agent. All right, how many listings did you take in May?
Well, Mike, our formula, we want the 108 a month is what we have to have to reach our goal.
Yes.
And in March, we took 258 listings.
Watch, in March they took 250. And then say it again.
208.
What month?
Last month.
Last month you took 208 listings with 180 agents. So you've really screwed up the standard. Because you're supposed to say, take the number of agents equals the number of listings. Now, I want you to think from it. You're going to say, well, what's the big deal? Anybody in real estate that has the ability to think, and you all do, understands that the standard for a broker to say that I'm going to take a minimum number of listings based upon my number of agents is phenomenal. And Joe, what you and Richard have done is phenomenal. There's no question about it. Because they can now take 200 plus listings a month out of their office. It's one office, okay? Dave, you and I talk about it. That's where we want to be, okay? Absolutely, okay? Well, watch. Standards are what you're never going to go below. Do you have any standards that you're never going to go below? In a listing property, you have to have standards for prospecting, standards for the type of lead follow-up, standards for the pre-qualifying, standards for the strength of the presentation, standards for obviously how many listings you're going to take per month, standards for what your closing percentage is going to be. Watch, without standards, all you are is a person wandering around through life. So now we're going to get a little bit more difficult. Number 26, write the word numbers. And then write down next to it the word critical. Numbers dash critical. In 1737, I think it was 1738 when I started in real estate, okay? And that's how it feels most of the time. My broker said to me, it's all about numbers, it's all about numbers. And I said, Pat, I can accept that. I don't know what you mean by all about numbers. He said, you got to figure out your numbers. So what I started doing was every day at the end of the day, every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, at the end of the day, I would write down how many people I talked to, how many leads I generated, how many appointments I went on, and how many contracts I got signed. And can anybody can you help me understand what days were depressing? When there were zeros. Because I got off my schedule, I got distracted, got off track. So every day, and then at the end of the week, I would total them up. So let's say I had Monday 92 contacts, Tuesday 107, Wednesday 89, Thursday 116, Friday 92. I would total them up, 561. And I would total up my leads. I generated 13 leads this week. And I went on 4 appointments and I got 3 listings taken. So then I could divide the number of listings taken into the number of contacts to know how many contacts I had to make each day to get a listing. And this is from a guy that has a low IQ. You guys are smart, yes or no? All right. Why do you not track your numbers? Because you don't want to see the truth. Because if you want to see the truth, you'll track your numbers. Okay? So let's take an example. If I had each of you stand up right now and tell us how much money you have in your personal checking account and personal savings account, actual money, could anybody in this room possibly be a little embarrassed? I'm sorry, did the room just leave? Tracy, it was a disappearing act, okay? OJ, here today, gone tomorrow. Because I remember with Matt, Tom, and Pat many years ago, they were, hey, Dad, because they're working for the company and I'm paying them a lot of money and I was thrilled to do it and everything was great. And, they were getting pretty cocky. And one day I said, okay, boys, take out your business card and write down on the business card right now how much money you have in your personal savings account. Well, why? Just do it. This is Dad now, not your boss. So they wrote down some numbers. And I said, okay, tell each other how much you have. Well, they started paying better attention after that. Because your numbers don't lie. Watch, the people that write them lie, but the numbers don't lie. All right, number 27. If you really want to be a strong listing agent, every month source where your appointments come from. Source where your appointments come from. Okay, you had 5 appointments for the month. Where did they come from? Because, see, the key to listing property is 2 words: duplication and predictable. Anybody that can duplicate a result can get a lot of results. And when you can predict your response, your results improve. So my belief is if you can duplicate and predict, you're going to make it every single time. But you can't duplicate and predict if you don't know where your appointments come from. Does that make sense to you, yes or no? All right, so let's go to number 28. Now there's only 106 on this list, so we're making some progress, okay? Write down the word discipline equals a strong schedule. Discipline equals a strong schedule. I said to Bernie, Josh, and Hal, do you really prospect every day? Anybody remember what they said? Yes. And then I said every day, and they go 5 days a week. Now think about this, okay? So Neil, how many deals will you do this year? 189, okay? So a couple years ago, I was going to Valencia, California, and Neil lives and works in Valencia, California, and I said to Spin, let's stop at Neil's office. It was like 8:45 in the morning, and the broker is somebody I'd known a long time. I walked in, shook hands, where's Neil's office? Go up the stairs. We walk up the stairs, Sabrina and I, and there's a big plate glass window. I mean, it's, like that big by this big. And we approach the window and we can see this man standing in a suit and tie with a headset on, with a computer screen on, and all of our scripts in front of him. And Mr. Neil Weichel is prospecting. But it only results in 189 deals a year. So don't get involved. Because you don't want to screw up your mediocrity by having a lot of business. Okay? So what does that mean in income, Neil? A little over 3.4 million. Not mama, million. Now, Lucy, you would have to sell Flushing, Michigan 3 times to make 3.4 million. But if you made 3.4 million, you could buy Flushing, Michigan, okay? So I understand, Bonnie, that you may never make 3.4 million working down in Cape Coral in your marketplace, Fort Myers. But your income proportionally is going to be just as strong as his if you follow the schedule that you say you have. Yes or no? Anybody have any problems staying on their schedule at times? Okay, could I ask a favor? Would everybody please raise your right hand? Because now you're in court and you're in front of the judge and jury. Okay, so you better tell the truth. Number 29. Organization and use of your database is critical to long-term listing progress. Organization and use of your database is critical to long-term listing progress. Now, I understand fully that some of you in the room are newer to real estate, and you're saying to yourself, I don't have a database. No, you do, you just haven't thought about it. Obviously, your database is made of past clients that you've worked with in real estate, and some of you don't have any yet, or you have minimal numbers, but you all have centers of influence, people that you know. I used to tell people the simplicity of a database, okay? Take your Christmas card list, people that you send a card to every year. Are they in your database? Take your personal phone directory, whether it's on your cell phone or your iPhone or whatever system you use, and those people should be in your database. Obviously, all of your friends and neighbors should be in your database. Obviously, your family, if you still speak to them, should be in your database, okay? Obviously, the people that you give money to all the time that you know and recognize should be in your database. The dry cleaners, the guy that runs the gas station, wherever you spend money regularly, they know you, should be in your database. There's not a person in this room that couldn't, if you had to today, put at least 100 names in your database without putting a past client in. So my question is, why don't you do it? And the answer is always the same. I feel uncomfortable, I'm embarrassed, I don't want to call these people that I've known so well. I don't want them to think I'm begging for business. When did I say you should beg for business? You don't have to beg, okay? So Lenny is in my database, and I've known him for 20 years. We've been neighbors or friends or whatever the association may be. And I call Lenny, ring, ring, ring. Lenny says, hello, hi Lenny, it's Mike. This is a business question. Do you have just a moment? He goes, well, of course, what's up? Who do you know that may want to buy or sell real estate in the next 30 to 60 days? Well, gosh, Mike, I don't know anybody. If you think of anybody, would you let me have that name so I can take care of them? Of course I would, Mike. Now, if I want to turn that into a personal conversation, I can say, and Lenny, by the way, how's the wife, how's the family, how's the kids, how da 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 da. But see, the problem is, if you approach them from a business level, they respond faster than always responding on a personal level. Make sense to you? Number 30, I wrote down, I know this one is going to sound strange. Get your family, friends, and support team to buy into your listing plan. Get your family, friends, and support team to buy into your listing plan. So my son Matthew tells the story, which happened. He was probably 6 or 7, maybe 8. And Earl Nightingale happened to be, and I don't say this to brag, was at our home in Orange County. And it's a Saturday afternoon, and Earl's sitting on the couch, and we're having a Coca-Cola and talking, and Matt comes in, and Earl introduced himself to Matt, and Matt sits down next to Earl. Matt doesn't know who Earl Nightingale is. And Earl says to him, Matthew, is there anything you'd like to have that you don't have? Matt looks up, I want a new bike. And he said, how would you get a new bike? Mom and Dad will buy it for me. He said, well, would you like to make sure that Mom and Dad buy you a new bike? And Matthew goes, yeah, how do I do that? Earl takes out a 3x5 card and says, what are 3 or 4 chores that you could do each day to make Mom and Dad's life better so they could afford to buy you a new bike? Matt says, well, I don't know. Earl says, well, could you take out the trash? I would take out the trash for a new bike. Earl writes to the Matt will take out the trash. Well, he wrote down 3 or 4 things. Then he took them and he taped them to the refrigerator. So all of us got to see what Matt's commitment was. And about 90 days later, we bought Matt a new bike. And Earl called Matt and said, "Thank you, Matt, for doing your job. Did you get your bike?" Now, when a 7-year-old gets a call from Earl Nightingale, that's kind of a big moment. Yes or no? Yes. Well, now watch. Folks, you have to understand that if other people don't buy into the dream, and many times you don't want to expose it to some people, if they don't buy in, you don't get the support you want. It is a lonely road to the top. It's a lonely road to the top. And anybody you can get to support you, family and friends, is critical. 31. Who are my accountability partners, and am I willing to be honest? Who are my accountability partners, and am I willing to be honest? Because that's really the key to accountability. There's a big group down in the Southeast, Susan, Jew, and Jim, and a lot of you guys belong to, that have been playing an accountability game for years, which I really think is great. So accountability is when you're being held accountable to what you said you're going to do. Now, generally speaking, do we love being held accountable? No. Real loud. No. Everybody say why? Because we don't want people to know what we do or don't do. Okay? So the one person in this room that is being held accountable all the time is Mike Ferry, because he has thousands of people that are relying on him to show up at 9 o'clock each day and present. I can't just arbitrarily be a real estate agent. Yeah, I don't feel like doing it. You guys, take the day off. Go to the pool, bake yourself, okay? See you tomorrow. You can't do that. But you can arbitrarily look at your schedule, not do it, and it's okay. That's why you have to have accountability partners. Because the accountability is somebody else. I'm calling you and you're calling me, and we're calling each other to make sure we're staying on our schedule. This is another one of those times when I notice there's no response, so we'll go to the next point. Okay? All right, so let's write it this way. Number 32. Since listing property is issue number 1, okay, I want to become a great listing agent. So listing property obviously is issue number 1, comma. Getting them sold is issue number 2. Comma. This brings pricing into play. Comma. So then take the word so, S-O, in capital letters. Capital S, capital O, capital O, capital O, capital O, capital O. So, are you guys ready? Yes. Don't buy a listing by overpricing it. That's the hardest part of becoming a great listing agent, is buying listings through pricing. Now, it's easy to say, I'm going to beat out Bob, I'm going to beat out Mary, because I'm just going to bump the price up a little bit because they're pretty good, and I'm going to get Hal. He's taken 5 listings from me. I'm getting the next one because I'm going to tell the seller I can get him $50,000 more than what he said. What have you really accomplished with that? Ego satisfaction? Say yes. Yes. Come on, say it. Yes. Some recognition? Say yes. Yes. How about long-term growth? No. How about income in the immediate future? No. So now you have to balance out, do you want long-term recognition or long-term income? Now, you've already heard what I feel. Money. Who wants more? Everybody says it until we ask you to go do what it takes to earn more. All right, so watch this. Hal, Josh, and Bernie, on Monday, one of them is going to be in your office We're going to from until you stay away one day. Then the day, then the day, my action might have the command cost. Why? Because that think back at times what we're going to lost. You want what he Mike. You I was trying orange have to live in the office. Get to the clock. Stay close. Show. He said, "I'm going to do just going to work." Said, "Keep trying." Everything. Every quarter said, "Well, he all right in months. You do you?" Oh, no. I'm much time. Was charged $1. It's a lot. Years ago, you're not decent. Have ever added thing wrong. Well, to give me any talk, can't run. People come today on your to me one look thing. Now, is there a set of different? I think grow you think none of because aren't you the audience? None of you think don't different. Why? I like looking. Okay, if you that read okay. Back in the new, I'm screwed up. It's an 88 fun. You know, take a number so can't get the price, and you if you're 33, we times mistake. I'm gonna do it a lot, but it's over list parent price program. Side change our act away our day longer coming than get first things go. Expert talk. We're all pretty sure to vital. You can go trade for some script really price you can use whole plan. 34 of up bring of those people a lot more bless you. Phone is we didn't see Tuesday. Perhaps weren't those a movie like not Canadian, it's a little filter one on and how much of okay. So I see they call me to by the you problem what are before you take off, you don't try. That's right. Why do you well if I'm not going to track as I well that's well for one you go taking list car then list. Well I want to it's I go out Dave or I'm so Pat's problem. You leave like you 10 drive in. They the throw they and sure is a deal. Room. I'm secure. Make turn up. To nurture it. I have when I go when how me hold the whole so go relation been one yes time leave check you're gonna hell's what right three that correct get you got that whole day out leave phone in the leave third and then going to is do that long do your a lot of start this neighborhood. Hey, let's okay make right personal and upgrade business product. I had a me. Steve, first. Bitch, so do you right this environment? Well, good. I would say what I here's behind customer right hill top in and very well here in good talking I had a like this that's a little one of the one of those plastic talking so them all the crash back but oh my what the do it excited machine grant they don't have from any makes is the keep no so the minimum we've got of our so one piece of made big big represent with why I got it that I just got even so my me okay advice one fact list you don't it's a what I'm excluding number one okay road takes so this may of your people or if you're what I'm not sure point long I'm going to shoot in college for from iPad phone people make it not full yes and saying answer answer people more money the your you can go many don't to is function best here skull it's the ever 30 all brings all things we, it's things we, any that you took tax, you were taking it, took plenty up those for what? How much? Nine. The tax was really how 30. How much should look 19 block up in my is yes for and as it's going to get so 18 staying it happened. Okay, Lenny will never consider you as listen you grew up your going through some list. Won't do. Okay, your activity is your increase work business say real mature you stay the process you're required to get things you and service to be get a you start the more involved the element the more to use as a person as an sure just right customer to list increase service to list number complaints towards home for here and this because what take you know take to them listing table week happen a lot there's problem for the next I call what happened one all the they did property what is good they I call the six and the sell yes service profession ever profession would me at I would I can't Olympic this is for saying him Olympic saying oh It's I video available. Ah, shows great is done is not medals. Nine last on for 50 total $100. That's more than $1 second. But for 2 minutes, 20. Holy. The step up. You guys remember to do inner things. We've got had quite a going to inner blood in the they're really but come up with for sure on it. Take off one. It's on. Here on call. Know what serve ours? Retreat. No work. No. No. Worth will be none. Can get that's you think proper training. I mean, what's the other? Okay. Thank you. We're really supposed to work coach practice what amateur a couple 70 pay plus and it's 2,000 much each how to I paid a month that for it was money 7 hard I remember I do it when I believe plus see trade and all these people the gear the jeans the hat t-shirt okay and that I'll tell you guys would teach job interesting all it was to semi be doing that's 100 before we to do distinction not list here or no matter what did ratio you like to sign one list make you're going to sign all I was very and the day years of course guy 4.5 7 4.5 5 miles years. I started running only miles. One. Okay. Run. He, because it's a day a year. Is the house earth top 60 phenomenal. What do you do? 60. I can actually never heard after he told me I I trained 5. I would have running not interest. Trained 4 down and learn every learn so many and to have to learn partner, make friends, make donation out set to live to be had a if we ourselves my say at age 4 up part a little opposite. In fact, I'm everybody all pandering ship for whatever said the we more are yes and we've ever returned